Welcome to the Cast Blast Grill Chill podcast with Jeremy and Trevor, the podcast that's all about hunting, fishing, grilling, and chilling out and having a good time in the outdoors.
Hey guys, a quick intro before we start the podcast. Can you guys go please give us a like on all of our social media and make sure to subscribe and like the podcast and rate us 5 stars if you can. It'd really help us out. We're Cast Blast Grill Chill on all social media platforms. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks guys. And welcome back to another episode of Cast Blast Grill Chill. Trying to do these weekly hunting updates with my co-host Trevor Bryan. I'm Jeremy Beeston, and we're going to talk a little bit about our early teal hunt and his his dove teal hunt he did, and just kind of the other stuff we've had going on here in the opening weeks of Texas hunting season. How's everything been going, Trevor?
It's been an all right week, man. We were just talking about that it's been a real long week, and you asked me why, and I just said because it's hunting season and I don't want to be at work. And you said the same.
Yeah, I 100% totally agree with that. I could not have any less desire to be at work every day because I'd much rather be waking up early to go hunting, not waking up early to go to work.
Yeah, I just heard earlier today of a shift open for a different company, but went to an expo and was talking to this guy, and he had a shift available that was like a 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. or something like that. And I was like, man, I could get a morning hunt in.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too terribly horrible. But then you'd be losing all this vacation time you've already accrued and everything else and starting back over, I imagine.
Nah, I'm not pursuing that one, man. I'd get lazy. And, I'd go on a few hunts and stuff, but I think I'd probably get lazy and end up sleeping in a little bit. And, yeah, I like going in, between 6 and 7:30 in the morning, getting my day started somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's a nice deal. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a kick-ass benefit for me because I'm actually going on a teal hunt tomorrow morning.
Sweet. Doing a little before work blast.
Yep, because hey, I'm excited. I got my new waders in yesterday, so it's always nice to see the UPS man come drop off presents for you during the day while you're at work, and you come home and you're like, ooh, what's that? I'll tell you what, Bandit did a heck of a job shipping those things to me. I think I ordered them late last Thursday night, and they were here by Tuesday afternoon, or Monday afternoon.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But the one thing I will say is I've been living life all wrong. 100% just wrong. I got the Banded uninsulated breathable waders. Oh my God. They're just like wearing bibs. They're amazing.
There you go, man. Perfect for teal. Layer up underneath that, some base layer stuff for regular duck season, and you're good to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, and even, I have those polar fleece wader pants, so that'll be good all the way up through probably the first split, but even come second split, if in the event that it does get super cold. I have those Sitka bibs. I can put those on underneath it, and there's no way I'm going to get cold.
Nah. Neoprene's heavy, too. It's pain to walk around in. Yeah, breathables are definitely the way to go.
Yep, and then this weekend, we got the BHA cleanup happening all across the state at Sam Houston State Park, Tawakoni, I don't know, a bunch of places. So, lots of things going on in the hunting space right now. But aside from that, anything interesting news and noteworthy you want to talk about before we roll into our teal hunt and our teal hunt bitches?
No, not really, man. Only thing I texted you earlier and told you 57-degree low for opening day of bow season here in Texas. So we're going to get a cold front push right on opening weekend, which will be amazing. Even if I don't see a single deer because of that cold front, it'll be a whole heck of a lot better to sit in no mosquitoes and are a lot more comfortable temperatures.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that. That'll be a heck of a lot more comfort. And on top of that, that first good cold front, historically, in my opinion, seems to get the deer moving pretty good. You planning on doing an all-day sit opening day?
Depends on the stand I hunt, just for getting in and out of there. So, I mean, evenings are, historically better this time of year. So, the mornings, a lot of people say aren't even worth it, but I don't have a problem sitting all day, especially if the weather's right. I bring some food with me. I'll be okay.
Yeah, I was almost thinking, especially with that big cold front coming in, of maybe doing a morning teal hunt and then going in after lunch to my stand, just because mornings are so historically slow in, late September, early October. So that's just got me scratching my head now going, well, there's another option.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd year how all this is going to play out. No north wind before dove or teal anytime throughout that so far. And then we're going to get our first northern push right at the opener of bow, which is the last weekend in September. And so that makes it overlap with teal season. So it's like everything's kind of falling where it shouldn't, but it's kind of looking like it's going to be a fun year, though.
Yeah, and it also, that cold front's coming 3 or 4 days after the September full moon, which I've been told, and it seems like historically, my best hunts have always been, for teal, have always been around that September full moon. So it ought to be, the time to, either definitely get on the teal, because from the reports I've been hearing from across the state, it seems like they're just not really here in big numbers yet. They're here. They're just not lots of them.
Yeah. So let's jump right into that since we're talking on that topic. And if you're cool with it, I think I'll start with that scouting trip I took 2 days before season open.
Yeah, definitely. Let's kind of figure out how we figured out where we planned to hunt that opening morning and kind of how it came to be.
Yeah, so it was opener on a Saturday, of course. And so Thursday after work, went out to some public land. Had a pretty good idea of 2 spots I wanted to check out. Only ended up getting over to 1, but for a good reason. So made my way over. It's about it's a touch over half a mile. Walked down this straight cattle trail and down to this little cove. And what do I see walking up but like 4 or 5 dozen teal sitting there? Kind of, teal kind of can't sit in one place for too long. They kind of like puddle jump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were kind of puddle jumping around, a dozen here, a dozen there, and then the other ones would follow over, and then I had some real flooded green grass in there. Everything, probably after actually getting in the water, nothing was over 18 inches deep in any of that my shot could have landed in. So anywhere from 1 to 18 inches deep. Flooded green grass, and then some like I don't. It wasn't hydrilla, but it looks like hydrilla. It kind of looks like duck dessert,
Yeah, that
looks like duck food to me.
Yeah, that green algae stuff that grows up and kind of stuff that the teal and stuff really like to eat. And then I imagine because I know this spot, I haven't been there in a couple of years, but I know that there's also a bunch of smartweed and stuff that naturally grows up all around that cove as well.
Yeah, there is. So lots of vegetation. I mean, just how much the water depth, the vegetation, the food, and seeing actual decent numbers of teal right there for it's a pretty small area we were going to hunt. I'd only feel comfortable probably hunting 2 groups on that whole little cove right there, just how it kind of lays out. It's not very big. And
yeah, what would you say it is? It's probably
it's odd. So if you were to take your right hand and like your palm facing your face and your fingers pointing left, and then put your index and your middle finger down, that's kind of how it looks. It kind of lays out like that from the position where we were going to hunt. So it has like two little shoots from your pinky finger and your ring finger, and then another shoot up from your thumb. So it's like all these little draws in this little cove. But one group would have to hunt the pinky and the ring finger draws, and then the other group would have to hunt the thumb draw.
Yeah, and the thumb draw is the better of the two.
It's kind of an odd setup. So yeah, I would only feel comfortable hunting two there. So I called you after that, seeing all the birds, real excited, and was like, man, saw the birds. Here's the spot. I'll send you a pin. And you were like, awesome, sounds good. Then I did a little dove hunt, shot a couple of birds. Nothing too exciting. Basically, just listening to another podcast and shot a couple of birds and added to the popper collection. And then I called you afterwards and it was like, hey, what time do you want to get out there? We started talking about that so I could let my dad know to invite him out what time he would need to meet us. And we decided on somewhere in between 4 and 4:30. And we kind of bounced around the idea of, well, it is opening day of Teal, but it is early Teal. So we might not need to do a 2 a.m., like we would open our big duck 2 a.m., getting there. And we don't need to camp out or anything like that. So we decided if we show up there between 4 and 4:30 roughly, that should be pretty good. So I told my dad, meet me at this gas station right around the corner at 4 a.m. And we're both very prompt by nature. So Saturday morning, we both roll in about 15 minutes till 4. And so we meet up. We start driving over there. Get down to the little parking spot there, which is not a parking spot. And lo and behold, there's two trucks that had just beat us by about 5 minutes, and we're there right at 4 a.m. So I stopped the truck, and I'm like, just on the off chance, man, I was like, are y'all dove hunting? And he kind of looked at me funny. He's like, no, we're not dove hunting. It's like, y'all teal hunting? It's like, yeah, we're teal hunting. It's like, y'all walking down there? He's like, yeah. Like, all right. And so it would have been a real pain in the butt to wait for you to get there, then us make this journey around the world to get to the other side of that cove to hunt that other spot. And we didn't really even know if that spot was going to produce, because I scouted that in the evening. I didn't know. So I called you and let you tell that conversation.
Yeah, so you called me, and I was like, well, it's still early enough that we have plans kind of C, B, D, and E available to us. We kind of talked through D and E real quick and decided if we had to, we could do that, but it's not ideal. And that kind of left us with options B and C. And we were like, I was like, why don't you get over there and see what it's like and call me. So you drive over there to where you can park to get to those two locations, and you're like, there's nobody here. I was like, well, how does, spot B look? You're like, there's water there and there's grass in it. That's all I can really tell. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, go there and set up there if that looks like the best option. If not, go to the other side and we'll hunt option, C. So you get there, you decide to hunt option C over option B, which I still think was the right call, even though it worked out the way that it did. But so you get there, I pull up maybe 10, 15 minutes behind you because I was there by 4:30. And I get all my gear and just kind of lay it out, and I basically kind of camp out at the truck. I have the headlights on the truck, the cargo light on the truck, and my headlight bobbing around, and just trying to make it look like there's a lot of activity just to try and deter somebody from coming on to this side of the cove, because this is a big cove where these two spots are, and just didn't want anybody to be on this side of it for as long as humanly possible. And I guess I sat up there for 30 minutes or so, just because if we had a couple guys that I could see in the distance slow roll that I don't know if they were planning on coming in there or not, or if they were just checking out to see what I was doing. But they definitely were slowing down and then continued on to where option D, E, F, and about 5 other options are that are all significantly further walks than this place. And so after a good little while, I gathered up my decoys, my chair, and threw my waders in my bag because I literally walked in shorts and boots because it was a touch on the warm side and real high humidity, which I was definitely a fan of that. Slogged my way on over to you and proceeded to, drop my gear, set up, throw the decoys out, and we proceeded to sit down and BS for a good, probably 15, 20 minutes before the next vehicle showed up. And I'll let you tell that story because I think I was probably outsetting the mojos whenever that proceeded to happen, when the next group of guys, because there was already one other guy there on the other side of the cove when I arrived. That was what he was about 150-ish yards across the cove from us.
Yeah. So he was the appropriate amount, what I would say the appropriate amount of close distance to another group without, for a public land opening day waterfowl thing, like I would shake that man's hand and say thanks.
He was far enough. Another 50 or 100 yards would have been better, and we definitely wouldn't have been peppering each other and everything else. But where he was set up, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay.
In comparison to some other stuff that happened, it was great. So yeah, you get down, you get your decoys out, setting out mojos, and in walks a group of 3 guys. And so I'm kind of watching them, you're watching them, and they start walking this our left shoreline, and go about 45 yards down, 40 yards down, somewhere in there. And they kind of go in this, what is that? Smartweed, or what is that?
It was some kind of reeds, or it was cinnabeans. That's what it was.
Yeah, cinnabeans. Yeah, that's what it was. And so they were getting in that and kind of getting all their gear together and kind of paused. We're looking around at each other. And then I walked over to you out in the water, and I was just saying out loud, just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And sure enough, they started unpacking gear, seeing them kneel over. And we were like,
that's not happening.
Yeah, we're like, let's just go talk to him. So we march over there, and dog comes with us. And so we go over there and, say good morning to them. And, they're pleasant. And we just kind of stated, hey, guys.
Are you planning on hunting here was the first question we asked. Well, yeah. We're like, yeah. Well, you're kind of close.
Yeah, and so we just explained, we don't want to be shooting each other's swings all morning. We're right over there. And, we know, you and I know from experience setting out decoys that everything in the dark is at least half the distance that you think it is. For some reason, just depth perception is completely off, and everything is closer than you really think it is. So anybody that waterfowl hunts that's gone through this, you know the deal. Because you want your decoys at a certain distance, you get back to your blind, your boat, or whatever you're doing, and then the sun comes up, and you're like, oh, those are significantly closer than I thought. I thought I was a lot further out there.
Yeah, my furthest decoy is 25 yards, and I thought it was 45.
Yeah, and I understand that happens for sure, and that's the mistake that was probably made, or they just weren't thinking about it. So we just went over there, talked to him, said, hey, would you mind moving further down or coming to hunt with us? Which we were inviting 3 guys to come and hunt with us 3. So that'd have been a big group. We only had a blind set for 3 people, and we didn't really have that good a cover. So he was like, we appreciate it. We'll move further down that way, and if it really sucks, then and y'all are banging it up, then we'll come hunt with y'all. And I was like, absolutely, man. Thank you. We were both, saying thank you and all that, and so it went well. They moved down, and they moved down to a pretty decent spot that I've hunted in the past, and I think you were either with me or we've hunted it together at some point. And so we were both back at the blind at that point, waiting for LST, and we were kind of praising them on, their courtesy and, moving down.
Yeah, kind of everybody did the right thing. We went and had a nice, pleasant conversation. We didn't go yell and cuss and get all mad and angry.
Yeah, and I think it's all about how you approach that situation. Going up to them, say good morning to them, be pleasant with them, and just explaining the situation of we don't want to shoot across your swing, and we don't want you shooting across our swing, because that's no fun for either one of us. And make it just as much about bettering their hunt as you're trying to better your own hunt. And I think most people would stand a much better chance getting cooperation from another group of hunters if you kind of approach it from that direction rather than, hey, get the F out of my spot.
Yeah. So speaking of get the F out of my spot, why don't you explain what you saw happen while I was doing something? I think I might have been actually turning the mojos on at this point.
Yeah. So
to the guy across the cove.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Explain what happened to the guy across the cove.
So all the way across the cove, the gentleman that I said that I would shake his hand, he now has people know a single guy with 2 dogs walk up on him, set up right on top of him, and right around the other side of a bush, really, like to the point where I would consider that you hunting with me.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, what the heck? And we don't hear it, but we see him pick up his crap and move. Like, he goes further. He's like, nope, F that. And just picks up all of his stuff, and he goes on a hike. And, I mean, he hiked.
Yeah, he went a couple of miles.
He was getting ambushed,
Well, and this is before the white light zombies came out of the parking lot. We're still about maybe an hour and a half till LST, maybe an hour to LST, when all this transpires on the other side.
Yeah. So when all that happened, we were still quite a ways out. And, then there's, 2, 3 more people coming down on that side. And, they're not really bothering us too much. More bothering those other people on the other side.
And they actually did the right thing. They kind of set up between that guy and the guy down on the end. I guess probably by the time it was all said and done, they had a couple 100 yards in between each one of those groups. Yeah,
which is completely, this is walk-in opening morning waterfowl. I mean, just bare bones. That kind of speaks to it all for anybody that's ever hunted public. So, opening morning is always a race to the start alone, let alone the finish. So then
we get to what, about 45 minutes to 30 minutes before LST, and here come the white light zombies.
I think you're being generous, honestly.
Okay, I'm trying to be generous. All right, this is 30 minutes before LST to LST. I say on the other side of the cove, another 2 or 3 groups come in. I never really see where they go, but they definitely come in and walk the edge of the water and go somewhere. Because at this point in time, we're getting all of our stuff ready, and we're dealing with guys, we're looking at trucks pulling in behind our trucks now. And we're kind of scratching our head going, well, where the heck are they going to go? And we're thinking that they're going to hunt, the spot that we're calling spot B, which if they hunt that, there's 100 yards, but they're basically hunting totally different water with the way that this little bit of property lays out. So it won't affect us at all. We'll basically be shooting back to back, pretty much, with the way this little cove kind of lays out. And so we're good with that. And I don't know if somebody sat up over there and left or what. I don't know, because there was a group of 2 or 3 that came in down there and they vanished somewhere. But then there's the guy, the single, and I'm going to call this guy Mr. Stealth because, he came in, he didn't say a word, but he came and got behind a willow tree that was 20 yards, maybe?
Yeah, I would say somewhere in between 20 to 25. Depending on which side of the willow tree you're on, I suppose.
Yeah. And this guy just never makes a sound over there. And, I see his headlight over there shining around. And I shined him off a couple times, thinking surely there's no way in heck anyone's going to set up that close.
My thinking was that you said, he was over there shining around that tree. And my thinking was where he had gone, this path that everyone seems to follow, it kind of funnels you down that direction. And then it ends into water. And, a lot of people that are walking hunting, especially early teal, might not break out the 5 mil neoprene or whatever. They're just coming in shorts or pants or whatever. And so, I figure he's kind of figuring out what he wants to do.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was figuring. I figured we were sitting where he wanted to be sitting, and now he's sitting there scratching his head going, where am I going to go? Mm-hmm. And after a while, I don't see the headlight anymore. I never hear decoys hit the water. I never, hear anything. So I figure he's, gone down and across over to this other water.
Yeah, kind of, it's, that would be running with that willow tree still blocking our view. So when that headlamp went out, we were kind of seeing it fizzle out, like he was kind of walking away. Like the light just got kind of dimmer. And so we figured he continued on down this little thing, whatever it is, and found another spot to go to. Like you said, never heard anything, not a shotgun load, not loading up a gun, not unzipping a blind bag, nothing. And
then LST gets there. And yep. I hear a kazoo.
No, first, before that, I had energy drinks running through me, so I decided I needed to take a leak after the first 15 minutes, no birds, and
you made the obligatory, I'm getting my worm out, get your shotguns ready, boys, they're fixing to fly.
Yep. So I announced that I was about to take it out, so y'all should get ready. And went into the little willow tree we were at and on the other side of the blind and unzipped myself and, started doing the thing. And I'm kind of looking over that direction of where he was. And I don't see him. I don't see anything. And I'm kind of like, what in the world? So I finish up. I come back. The worm didn't work for the birds to move. Like it usually does. So still no birds, but I come back to the blind and I'm like, boys, there's decoys right there. 20 yards from us. Exactly in front of that willow. And then you hear the kazoo.
And at this point in time, I'm on a scale of 1 to 10 irritated. I was about an 8.5 because we'd already dealt with multiple people coming in on us. So far, everyone had been, kind and courteous and done the right thing. When you're hunting public land, you can't always give, as much space as you would like, but you try to give as much space as possible.
Everybody kind of worked it out, but amongst themselves. You get set up on, you either ask them to move or you move yourself. And, we got snuck up on by the stealth man, for sure.
Yeah, because, this is the only person in the world that I've ever seen not throw a decoy in the water. He had to stealthily walk out there and set the decoys down on the water.
And, I figure if I even walked out and was going to set a decoy, I would, drop it into the water. No, he would have had to have bent over. Because this, I was wearing muck boots only. So they're calf high. He would have had to have walked into the water, bend over to touch that water with that decoy, and set it in the water as to not make a noise. And who loads a shotgun super quietly unless you got birds already in your decoys, before LST or something.
Or
Like,
you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing.
Or you just set up on somebody, or you're doing something illegal or whatever. But yeah, if I'm loading my shotgun and it's, 10 minutes before LST and there's not a bird that I've seen before then, I'm just gonna load the gun.
Yeah, I'm throwing shells in and making all kinds of a racket because, I'm getting excited, I'm getting pumped. I'm literally have my DU app open that has the little green where the little circle changes from green to red when it's sunrise minus 30 according to GPS.
Yep. So he starts blowing the kazoo, and it doesn't sound great.
No.
So we start having conversations of, well, you need to start somewhere, and then we decided, well, that somewhere should probably be in your truck or the comfort of your own home.
And I'm sitting there with all my calls around my neck going, I'm going to hit some notes just because. I'm just going to do it. Just so maybe. My 6-year-old daughter could have blown a call better than that.
Yeah, and I could hear the shyness in his calling because I've been there. I could hear the, oh man, I really want to do this. I really want to do this. Okay, go. Yeah. Yeah, so I could hear it in his call, and he would hit like a note or two and put it away. At least he didn't like straight blow and blow and blow and blow and blow. He knew that it didn't sound great. So that was definitely a benefit of
yeah.
I guess if you could call it that.
Well, after he hit that little 3-note string, that little 3-note quack, I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So I hit a little 3-note quack. I did a little quick greeting call. Did a quick little feed chuckle. Kind of fed it. Did that back into like another greeting call to another feed chuckle to kind of like a hail call. And he didn't blow that call again after that, I don't think.
I don't think so. And you're kind of like hoping in the back of your head when you hear somebody that's like bad at calling that you can like call over them to like hopefully make up for their slack. Like you can right their wrong, you can fix what they've undone to the birds. You're like, oh, what was that sick sounding thing over there? And then they're like, oh, that's a pretty note. Okay, there must be actual birds over there, not just some dude.
Yeah, well,
you're almost hoping that you're fixing his problem.
Yeah, well, my whole deal with putting out such an elaborate call for my first, I didn't even tune my calls up that morning. I'm generally pretty bad about 30 minutes before LST. I'll pick them all up, quack them a couple times, do a quick little, feeder call on them, and then be like, all right, cool, everything's right, everything's the way they're supposed to be. But shoot, my calls have been, going with me to work every day. I've been blowing them and then putting them in the shop and then blowing them on the way home, just making sure, I don't need to replace any reeds or anything for the past, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all my stuff is good. So I was just like, all right, this dude is starting to get a little confidence in his kazoo blowing ability. And I'm like, I can't have this. Not that he's scaring off, the millions of teal that are dive bombing into the decoys, but in the event that there are teal coming around, this is bad enough that it might actually even flare a teal.
Yeah. So, man, I don't want to build too much suspense on this, because I don't feel like there's a bang of a concluder here or a conclusion to this hunt. So I think we should just jump right to it and say, about 8:30, 8:45, that guy picks up and leaves. He gets his decoys out, which I don't hear him get his decoys out either.
No, me neither. I see him out there wading around in the water, picking them up.
Yeah, but I don't man, he's stealth for sure. And then he starts to walk off. He's probably 45, 50 yards behind us, going back on, he's on land at this point, got all of his gear, got his gun packed up.
And he's slow rolling through.
Yeah.
God, that dude walks slow.
And he was, I think it's just the nature of the stealth, man. Honestly, either that or he's completely indecisive if he actually wants to leave or not.
Yeah.
And I shit you not, when he's standing right there behind us, I see a double come off the right in front of where he was sitting. I mean, right in front of him. And so I told you, grab the call because I didn't know what they were going to do. I start making some water on there, some waves on the water with the jerk rig, and just, get the flow going, man. First birds we've actually got an opportunity on for the morning, and it's 8:30, 8:45, whatever time it was. Way too late for teal. And so
we were not ready in the slightest. We'd already kind of kicked our feet back and we're like, man, this ain't happening today.
Yeah, and so all of that kind of happened in the matter of 3 seconds.
If that. I pretty much just ducked my head, grabbed the call, and just started calling because I was like, I don't know where they are. I don't see them. So I'm just going to make a good racket that says, hey, there's food here. And
so they came up right to where we were about to pull up on them at about, what would you say, 20 yards, and then they flared away from the decoys. They came right over the top of the mini mallard mojo you got. I guess that's what it's called, or mojo junior or whatever.
Oh yeah, the baby mallard. I think I'd already picked that up at that point in time.
Well, that's the direction they came from.
Yeah.
So if it was there, then they flew right over that. My teal decoy, the green wing decoy mojo was out there. They would have flown over that too. So I was hitting the jerk at the same time. So I don't know if we had too much going on for them, but teal usually like all that. But they flared away and got distance pretty quick. But
they were backpedaling out of that spread as quick as they could. I don't know what they saw, what they didn't like, but they didn't like something.
I took one shot, and then they kind of flew behind because I was tucked pretty far into that willow tree. So any like real variance out of my shooting lane was pretty small. I don't know how many. I think somebody shot 3.
I dumped all 3 out of mine because I was shooting those Kent heavy dove or those Kent dove steel loads.
Oh, and the Versamax, you just like bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, there was no recoil. There was no nothing. I was like, oh, wow, that was 3 shots really fast. I like this. I'm like, this is perfect for teal hunting, except for the fact that I didn't pull up. I didn't pick a bird. I just like pulled up. I was like, okay, there they are. Point, shoot. And I did so many things wrong when I did that. I was like, there's no way in heck I even came close to one of those birds.
Yep. So at that point, we were completely unprepared. We all missed. And we kicked those birds back to the guy across from us that had kicked out the other guy that I said originally I would have shaken his hand. That guy that got kicked out. And we bounced that double right over to him. He shot 1. His dog made the retrieve. Then that other one kind of was like what's that game? Not ping pong.
Pinball?
Pinball. Yeah, that bird was kind of like pinball throughout that cove going towards the lake. And just kind of bouncing off the sides of the coves, getting shot at. And then finally, right at the point, it got shot because we heard a single, and I think we saw it fall. I don't remember.
I think we saw it fall, too.
Yeah, but, man. So that's it. That's what happened. I mean, we got stuck with plan B, got beat out to the spot the whole time. I'm cussing myself, saying I don't like getting beat. Should have been here earlier. I was here at 4 a.m., and I got beat just by 5 minutes. Like, dang.
Okay. But there is kind of one thing that we've left out of all this. Where was all the shooting that we heard that morning?
Good point. It was directly in that spot. Directly in our plan A spot. I mean, we hunt this spot all the time, so we know where everything is on that lake, and they shot the most out of that entire public out there. That entire property, they shot the most. And so we decided to give it about 30 more minutes after that double that came in, and we called it, man. We were like, all right, done.
And about the same time we were calling it, the guy who kicked out the other guy, him and his 2 dogs started packing up.
Yeah, the dude that we bounced that double to, and he shot one of them out of there. So he packed up about the same time.
And then the group of 3 left, I guess, about the time that we shot at the double, because we saw that group of 3 coming back. down the lake. So
everybody kind of got out of there, man. And I don't blame anybody for doing it. I don't blame us for doing it. If there's no birds to shoot at, man, there's no point in being out there other than,
hey,
it's better than sitting in front of the TV watching Netflix.
Hey, we saw the sunrise. We hunted. We had a pretty good morning. We had a bunch of good camaraderie in the blind, but it was time to go. It was starting to get warm, and we had about a mile hike ahead of us to get out of there. So,
so hiked back out of there, and at this point, I do want to back way up to the point of arriving at this spot. My dad and I got there first, as we touched on, and we're walking out of the truck, and we're getting our stuff on, and we start hearing this like noise, or I do, and I'm like, man, there's a cat somewhere around here. And he listened, and he's like, oh yeah, and so I kind of pointed in the general direction I thought it was, and we're like, oh, it must be over there somewhere. It's like, dude, that sounds like, my dad said, that sounds like a kitten. I was like, yeah, it does. And so, we decided to go on in, get down to the spot, go up to the gate, start walking. We had to go up to a gate, then back down a fence line, and coming back down that fence line, I saw, eyes reflecting in the headlamp. Sure shit, man, there's a little kitten sitting there. It's like, well, I don't know who you belong to, or where you belong to, or what you belong to, but you're not mine. You're not coming with me. So left the kitten there. And yeah, so fast forward back to where we just left off. Get back. And we hike back to the trucks, load up our stuff. We're getting out of there. We're going to go get some breakfast, some food. And everybody goes their separate ways. I get home. My phone rings. And it's my mom. I answer the phone. She's like, how's your hunt? I'm like, pretty sucky. And she's like, well, there's a cat in your dad's motor. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, there's a kitten that rode on your dad's motor all the way back here. And granted, this is like a 45-minute highway drive back to his house. And so that kitten rode on the motor all the way back to his house, was perfectly fine. And, then the dog's freaking out because there's a kitten inside the truck, basically. And they're like, well, what do we do with it? I'm like, you don't bring it to my house. I don't want it. And so I think the conclusion to that was they ended up bringing it to the vet or something and, giving it to them. But I don't really know the real conclusion, but I think that's what she told me they were going to do. Whether that actually happened or they're cuddled up with them this evening, I don't know.
Oh, so you haven't found out if your mom has acquired a new kitten yet? Because there's one thing I do know about your mom. She is a cat person, and you only have one very large fat cat at the house right now. So in her mind, it's time for a new little lovable thing because she keeps trying to steal my puppy. So.
Well, that thing was dang cute, man. I gotta admit that kitten was pretty cute, but it sure knew how to weasel its way into a pretty good home,
Yeah,
it did make it inside.
Yeah, it definitely has some cojones to make that trip.
Yeah. So I forgot to add that part in the front of the story, but I felt like that was a pretty good bit to mention in all of this. That we had a freeloader cat. Well, yeah, everything, man.
Well, yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, because you were asking me, well, did you hear the cat? I was like, no. I was kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking
down to the blind that morning. Yeah, I was asking you, hey, do you see that cat up there? You're like, no. I was like,
I kind of thought you and your dad were high or something. I was like, you need to check them trucks for carbon monoxide leaks or something because there ain't no cat up there.
Yeah. Well, that cat had already made himself nice and cozy up there in that carbon monoxide because.
No, he done found him that nice warm motor and curled up on it. Was like, oh yeah, this is nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, that was the morning, the opener morning. So plenty exciting. Not exciting bird wise, but plenty exciting in its own fashion. Yeah.
Yep. The public army invasion. So before we kind of carry on to the next bit of what me and Trevor did that afternoon, or what Trevor did and what I did separately, because we both did separate things, is I want to talk about ethics just a little bit when it comes to public land hunting, and especially public land waterfowl hunting. Is there's only X number of spots on any given public body of water, and there's only X number of good spots, and there's only a handful of X's on any public space. If you get beat, do what we did. Do the right thing and say, hey, I got beat. I'm going to go to my alternate plan. This goes back to, kind of the ethics in waterfowling, is that you've got to put your time in. You've got to do your scouting. You got to know either historic places that are good that have produced birds for you in the past, or you got to get out in the boat. You got to get out in the truck. You got to get out in your boots, and you got to get out in your waders, and you got to go figure out where the birds are if you want to have successful hunts. You can't just come and set up 50 yards, 25 yards on the opposite side of a bush from a guy because, well, this is a good spot and I know there's birds there.
And I'm late.
And show up 15 minutes before LST, because not only does it make you look like a dick, because you are a dick if you do that, if you're going to pull that move, I mean, heck, we've all woke up late and had a spot that we wanted to hunt and hoped it would be there. If you're going to be that guy, at least ask the guy that's there, hey, man, I'm sorry I'm late. Any chance I can hunt with you? And if he says no, you don't get a right to be offended and be pissy about it. You say, okay, and you just travel on and you're going to get a late start to your hunt and go somewhere else. I mean, you got to give guys space. It's not safe to set up right on someone. Let's just say that, this morning had been a barrel burner. Let's say that the teal had started falling into the decoy, but, 10 minutes before legal. And they were coming from where that guy had set up right off of us. And were landing down at the far end of our decoys. Well, I know immediately what I would have had us do is we would have pivoted the blind, 20 degrees in his direction. I would have told your dad, hey, move up about 5 yards, pick up the end of the blind and move it. We still wouldn't have noticed his stuff because we would have been watching the birds. And, I mean, we could have shot that guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And, aside from the safety, you said it exactly. Just ask to hunt with them. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to say no, and then you're back in the same spot that you were beforehand with no spot. You're in the same place you started with. So, like you said, man, you're just going to get a late start to your hunt, and that's mistakes happen. That's your fault for skipping the first 10 alarms or whatever. Stuff happens, man. But I would say that most hunters would probably say, yeah, man, come hunt with me, because I would rather you do that than go set up 20, 30, 40, yards right off of me. We went over and talked to guys that were 40, 45 yards out, just because we didn't want to affect their hunt just as much as that we didn't want them to affect our hunt. So, it invited 3 guys to come and hunt with us 3. So that would have been a group of 6, but that would have been a lot more pleasurable than competing with somebody.
Yeah.
Or for, safety aspect, the guy that was 20 yards away, the stealthy guy, he could have got hurt. We could have got hurt. But yeah, definitely risky, man.
Yeah, definitely. And, just be kind and courteous. I mean, give guys their space. It's not worth it. Like, you remember that last weekend of Big Duck last year. I walked over to a guy that was 80 yards away and told him, hey, we're not going to hunt this better spot that's right next to you. We're going to hunt the next spot over. That way,
there's a buffer.
There's a little bit of buffer between us, and we don't, we're not sitting there just calling at each other's birds all morning long. Because if by the time a bird makes a swing from where he was to us, well, it's not going to swing into his hole anyway. If a bird doesn't, on our swings over there to where he was, it was going to go in his hole. So,
yep. So, I mean, once again, it's thinking about the hunt for more than just yourself and thinking about it for them too. and how much that can improve by one party moving. And if you're there and you put in the work and you claim your spot, and then somebody comes and is trying to be selfish and make it better for themselves, if they know you're there and then they set up right next to you, go talk to them. If they start cussing and yelling, yeah, I'm probably gonna move because I don't want to deal with all that. And it's not worth it to me to get into a fist fight with some dude that just is in a bad mood and has a bad attitude and really isn't there for the right reasons. I'll probably just move, and I'll probably end up doing better than he will because he's going to be a bad attitude and hopefully shoots bad that morning.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is you always have to remember is like if that guy, comes and sets up right next to you and, you're the stubborn guy who says, man, I'm not going to get up and go over there and go invite this guy to hunt with me. Congratulations, you have now signed a warrant that you're going to have a bad hunt and he's going to have a bad hunt. Neither one of y'all are going to have a good hunt. So sometimes you have to swallow your pride a little bit and invite a guy that maybe you really don't want to hunt. But like, so long as the guy's got a good attitude when you go over to talk to him, say, hey, rather than us sitting here screwing each other up all morning and neither one of us getting any shots at birds, let's pool our resources, pool our ammunition, pool our guns, put them all in the same spot. Let's all hide a little better and let's all kill birds rather than, us competing over this, the same birds and having a spread, that literally ends 20 feet from my spread to your spread. Because what's going to wind up happening, they're going to wind up landing right in the middle where neither one of y'all have a shot, and then they're going to pick you out, and then they're going to boogie off, and you're done.
Yeah, every time we talk about this, man, I feel like we're beating a dead horse, and then it happens again, and again, and again. And, I'm not saying that everybody in the world listens to this, but how many people have you heard talk about this exact same thing? And everybody doesn't want to say, I'm the guy doing that. Nobody wants to admit that they're that guy. But we're saying that we know how to do this because we've been that guy before. We've been the guy that missed the alarm and is going in trying to find a spot. And, you're like, oh, crap, didn't know that guy was there. And then maybe it's 10 minutes after legal and you're like, well, crap, I don't want to screw up his hunt anymore. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm just going to go move. And so there's ways to make it better. You don't have to stick it out,
Yeah, you can either say, yell, hey, is it cool if I come hunt with you? Guy says no, move on. If not. But, here's the thing is, these guys that come try and set up right on top of you, if you don't go have the conversation like we had this morning, is maybe they don't know any better. Maybe this is their first hunt. Maybe this is their first season. Maybe this is, the 3 hunts that they do a year waterfowl. Maybe they hunt, the 3 openings. They hunt the teal opener, the big duck opener, the second split opener, and that's it. I know there's a lot of waterfowl guys that's all they do is they hunt 3 times a year. And, they have everything they need to do it, but they're not especially skilled or knowledgeable or anything like that. And, it's like the meme that goes around every teal season. What sound does a wood duck make on the opening of teal season? Splash or mud stomp or whatever. There's 1,000 of them that I see on Facebook every teal season because so many people can't ID birds on the wing, and the first little duck they see that's moving fast, they shoot at it. People, waterfowling is a steep learning curve, and all of us who've been doing it for a while, we know better because either we learned the hard way, which, I wish I could say I learned it the hard way, and I did. But in the long run, is I had a couple guys who were really knowledgeable teach me a lot of things, and it rapidly increased my learning curve. I went from being okay and knowing what I'm doing and going, well, I have 0 ducks and all ducks are legal, so anything that flies dies. And then, okay, well, I killed a wood duck. Well, cool, I can still kill 2 more of those, so still anything that flies that dies. Oh, well, I got all my wood ducks now. Now I just need to make sure I don't shoot a wood duck. Okay. That's how I learned how to ID birds on the wing, was ground checking them. I'm not going to lie. But, when you don't have any birds in your bag and, you can shoot any ducks. So you're safe, but it's still not the right way to do it. So, try your best and try and help, maybe these guys that come in late and, maybe look a little lost and don't know what they're doing. Invite them to hunt with you. Try and teach them something. Try and, educate a little bit, especially if they're younger guys.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And I think we're talking in circles here a bit, but, it needed to be covered. But maybe we just got, like, spoiled by not walk-in hunting public land for, quite a while. I guess we did some last year, but not on that property at all. And that property gets hammered. And I mean hammered.
Yeah.
As you can tell from this whole spiel. And I think we haven't done that in so long that maybe we just kind of forgot how pressured it is and how close everyone is and how unsafe it can be. It's wild. I don't want to do it again, for sure. I do not. There could be birds there, and I would not go do it again just because that's not fun, man. I don't have to worry about it.
I won't do it again till second split.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about like an opener, like, but that many people again. If it was the same scenario and there were birds there, like,
I'd pack up and leave.
Wouldn't pick that spot again.
No, I wouldn't. I'd find someplace further off the beaten path next time. I'm not going to go try. I'm not going back to that spot. That's all I'm going to say is I'm not going back to that spot.
Yeah,
well, that's a good spot. But the problem with that spot is it's too easy.
Yeah, it really is. You can see it from the blacktop. So there's your first problem.
Yep.
Well, fast forward to that evening. I was gonna come have dinner with you. You were cooking up some good stuff, man, and I just couldn't fight that itch of I got beat this morning. I could not shake it. And I was like, I'm going out there. I called you. I'm like, dude, I think I'm gonna go on a teal hunt, and I'll drive to your house after dark. And sorry, not gonna be there for dinner, but I'm gonna go get on this spot that I saw birds at. We heard them hammering shots at least this morning, and see what is going on over there. So I get down there, walk down, set out decoys. On the very last decoy throw, had 3 birds fly and buzz my head, go up. They go straight out from me, so I'm not even sure if they saw me. And I go back to my tree that I was going to stand by and grab the shotgun and a whistle. Hit the whistle, like 4 little peeps. They swing back around, hit the brakes, swing back around, coming in. And, I don't know what I had out at that point. I definitely wasn't ready. So if they came into 40, maybe 37. And I was like, just a little bit more. And then they turned, started flying away, and hit them with that hen teal call, and they tipped wings, but definitely didn't come back to it. They got out of Dodge. So I probably should have just taken that shot, but I just wanted to work in a little bit more, but because that's just a touch far.
Yeah, you wanted to do it right.
I wasn't even done setting up yet, and I was like, I texted you. I was like, man, 3 birds just buzzed my head while I was putting out decoys, like, and an excitement of, man, it's looking good. It's only 5 o'clock, like it's looking good. I got 2.5 more hours. So yeah, get my mojo set, get a jerk rig out. It was No, I did not put the jerk rig out because there was a bunch of gar and carp and catfish all in there splashing around like crazy, and it just kept it kept waves on the water, little ripples on the water. So that was cool. And yeah, man, when I was putting out decoys, there were wads everywhere, wads from inside the shotgun shell, and they were everywhere. And yeah, they shot it up that morning. I hunted just off to the right and back on the tree, probably 10 yards from their blind that they had out, and they had tore down before they left. Yeah, and didn't see another teal for the rest of the evening. Not one more bird. Saw maybe 2 dove way too far to even attempt to shoot with number 4s just because I was bored. But yeah, man, not another teal. Granted, 2 days before this. 2 days. 4 or 5 dozen exact same spot. So, I don't know. I don't know what's happened. We touched on in the beginning of no north wind, no front, no migration moon. Nothing like that has happened yet. So, it's just numbers in general seem to not be on the winning side. People with rice seem to be doing good. People that are catering to ducks, and specifically ducks on a piece of property in whatever way, seem to be doing well. But you know, they're mostly always doing well, and the local birds will hold there as well. So yeah, only thing about that evening that was cool besides any of that was found a 4-point side shed on my way out. So that was cool. Picked up decoys, had everything on my back, walked about 20 yards and found a shed. So that was cool, man.
Yeah, that's definitely, at least it wasn't a total bust.
Yeah,
so that same evening, I went and drove down the road a ways and took my machete and proceeded to go lop a whole bunch of brush to go brush in a blind that we had been given access to by my buddy, and we were going to go do a hunt that following morning, and so we had it all lined up, and we'd gone and brushed that blind Friday, and he'd seen a bunch of birds in there the previous day, or the previous days up to that when he'd been out scouting, and we saw some birds in a couple of tanks around there that Friday evening, so we were kind of hopeful for Sunday. And the one thing about this is the fact that it's private access, so we didn't have to get up quite as early. We woke up at 4:30, which is normally the time we're arriving. So
we didn't have to worry about waking up to beat somebody there before 4 a.m.
Yeah, so that was real nice not having to do that. So we rolled over there. We took the brush I'd cut the night before, and I cut a big healthy chunk of reeds to go on this blind. I'd say it was probably a 3 or 4 armfuls of palms, kind of. I think I forget what the stuff's called. It
looks kind of like a bamboo sugarcane cross with some like more reed looking. I don't know, just a typical it's a invasive reed that kind of grows on the side of the road.
Yep.
So yeah, anywhere that there's like a low spot that holds water, a lot of the times you'll find it growing there.
Yeah, but it's not a cattail; it's something else. But
yeah,
anyway.
Not a cattail, but something similar in reed structure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So we drag all that stuff down, drag the decoys down. It's a nice big tank. It's about perfect depth. It's got plenty of it's got like a couple little patches of cattails in it, 2-3 big patches of cattails, lots of vegetation growing in it. Frogs, tadpoles everywhere, and
it's full of duck food.
It looks ducky. It looks ducky. So we set up decoys real quick, got in the blind, waited about 5, maybe 10 minutes to LST.
Yeah, I'd say after we were done brushing and getting everything, jerk rigs and mojos and
dog in the blind,
and everybody all settled, I'd say we were probably at about 10 minutes till LST.
Yep. So shot the shit for a little bit, and there comes LST, man. And what comes piling in for about 45 minutes, Jeremy?
Rainbow teal. I mean, wood ducks.
Yeah,
Every damn wood duck in the county.
I swear, man, there is. Your buddy goes, well, there's a healthy population of wood ducks in this county, if anybody was wondering.
Yeah.
And dude, no joke. I mean, we were all getting excited because we were seeing ducks everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And there was a sparse, bonus gadwall or 2 or 3, and a spoony here, and another big duck here that we couldn't identify, and a couple of whistlers, couple of this, that, and the other. But
wood duck after wood duck.
I mean,
we could have filled a 50-man strap of wood ducks.
I mean, man, we're emphasizing this because it needs to be like it. I don't know how many acres that tank is, but it's big and it was full of ducks. It's real big. It was full of ducks.
It's full of everything but teal ducks.
Yeah. So we're seeing a couple of groups of teal here and there, but we're trying, we're IDing birds. Like everybody's like, what is it? Wood duck? Nope. So we're all getting ready. Get ready. Wood duck. Okay. Settle back down. What is it? And so we're watching this group and this group and this group. And, so we're all calling out different groups and trying to watch different groups. And, every once in a while, 3 or 4 teal will come zoom by real quick and go hang out with the wood ducks on the other side of the lake. But we missed our shot opportunity because we're IDing wood ducks here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, there was a couple of teal that were sneaking in with those wood ducks every so often. But when you got and we're not talking singles and pairs of wood ducks. We're talking groups of 10, 7s.
Oh, easy. Easy.
Group after group after group. And we're just like, Woody, Woodrow, wood duck, wood duck, wood duck. And and I mean, we're having a good time. But after about 30 minutes of this, we're starting to scratch our head going, well, where are the teal?
Yeah, man. And, kind of wood ducks are local birds for a lot of the time. They like to hang out in their neighborhood. So, if migration is slow, then you're going to see more wood duck than anything in a healthy population of wood duck. If the migration hadn't run yet, then you're going to see local birds.
Yeah, and there was
that's what we saw.
Yeah, that's why we saw so many whistlers and so many wood ducks. And then I think those couple of gadwalls and spoonies we saw probably just never left. They probably just
could have been that lone survivor from last year, like you said, or it could have just been early, done like the cold. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? but anyway, so I guess it gets to be about 8:30 and stuff, and we're kind of like, well, all right. Well, I guess me and you were kind of thinking to ourselves, this is kind of like yesterday. They didn't fly till kind of late, and I guess it wasn't but a couple minutes after that conversation that we had a group of 3, right at the end of the decoys, just scream past us.
Yep.
And I don't know if I called them out, or Jake called them out, or you called them out, but somebody called them out. I think I did. And
it wasn't me because I was looking in another direction. I heard teal.
Yeah, and I got down and I hit the call, and I saw them tip and swing. And I said they're going to do it. And sure,
and see, I didn't even see him at that point. I didn't even see him tip, but I was just down. James to my right. I'm right middle. You're left middle, and Jake's far left. So we got a group of 4 in this blind, and we're all just hunkered down. You could see him. I think Jake could see him too, but I think James and I at the end there, we were like, all right, man, just you call it, and we'll be up shooting. So
yeah, and I mean, because they came from left to right in front of the blind, and I hooked them right at the end of the decoys, and they swung right back around, and I called the shot when they were right over the tops of the decoys, straight out in front, so we could all shoot at them, and we went 2 for 3 out of that group of birds.
Yeah. And I think maybe 1 or 2 third shots got fired at that last bird, but I think everybody picked out of the 2 birds that died. And then everybody was like, okay, now for my double, and then swung that third shot back over to try and hit that other one. By then it was out of dodge,
Yeah, I never shot at the lead bird. I shot at the third and second bird.
See, I shot at the second bird and then that third bird. I didn't shoot at that one that even got away because he was the far left bird that ended up taking off left. So that was on the wrong side of the blind for me.
Yeah, and he was out. Yep. He was out quite a bit in front of those other 2. So
yeah. Well, that dog retrieved. What was that dog's name?
That's Cash.
Cash retrieved that first bird, and then Jake helped him out with that second bird. He did a good job and got to. Yeah, they were both drakes, weren't they?
as much as you can tell. And
Yeah, I think they were though.
I know for a fact one was, but I think the other one was as well. He just his head hadn't started blackening up yet.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's early, so who knows? But yeah, we shot that pair, hung out for a little while longer, and we were like, shoot, man, let's call it.
Yeah,
like,
as soon as that
I had a blast just watching those ducks, man. Like I would do that 1,000 times over. Just to, like, if I could have those birds in the day before's hunt, just to watch those birds, I'd have had a better time. I wouldn't have gone back, but I would have had a better time for sure just watching birds.
Yeah. Well, see, now you kind of see what I was trying to compare to you when we were having that conversation during dove season. Like, when you see a lot of ducks, it's fun.
Oh, no, and I know the feeling. Like, there's just, like we've mentioned, there's no comparison. If anybody doesn't recall, go back and listen to our opening dove. I think the last episode.
It was the last episode,
kind of touched on this of just trying to compare why I like deer hunting to why he likes duck hunting. So, yeah, go back and listen to that one and call us dumb or whatever.
Yeah, so that was a heck of a lot of fun getting to watch all those ducks. And we sat there, and basically the reason why we called the hunt was because the sun broke the tree line. It started getting warm.
Oh, yeah, that is why.
So we went and picked everything up and moseyed on back to Jake's place, and then
shoot, you sweated your way up that hill carrying all that stuff, man, and those neoprenes still.
Oh man, yeah. Like I said, I'm living right going forward.
You got out of them. You're like, dude, this sucks. And then you just pull them down. You're just drenched, but in sweat.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I'm glad that was the last early teal hunt you ever had to do in neoprenes.
Yeah. I may do it again at some other point in time if I take somebody and I want to make sure they have an enjoyable experience. Yeah. I'll go sweat my butt off in the neoprenes, but yeah, from here till the end of my days, I'm hunting breathable waders. But
we got some dang good breakfast tacos after that, though.
Yeah, man, the Hi-Ho here in Navasota makes probably the best breakfast tacos I've ever had.
Man, you need to go over there and work on a sponsorship. I'll gladly be paid in tortillas because those were bomb.
Yeah, fresh homemade tortillas, like Jimmy Dean style breakfast sausage scrambled up in eggs with link sausage in them. 3 different kinds of cheese to choose from, like 9 different kinds of sauces to choose from, refried beans, like you name it, they'll put it on it for you.
Yeah, you come over there, you'd gone to the restroom or something, and I'd gone ahead and ordered tacos, and you saw that I had 2, and you were like, man, I should have told you one was going to be a meal in itself. I was like, dude, I saw the size of those tortillas before I ordered. I know.
Yeah, and they're not skimpy either. I mean, they put 2 big old spoonfuls of eggs and sausage on there.
Oh, man, it was a burrito more than a taco.
Yeah, it's definitely a breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
But for $2, man, you can't beat it with a stick.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Man, they were good. Yeah, we need to make a tradition out of that somehow.
Yeah, no problem. We got
get back over there.
Yeah, we got access to this spot again, so I figure we'll be there again come Big Duck a couple times at least.
Cool. Is that what you're doing in the morning?
Yeah, I'm headed over there in the morning to go early teal over there again.
Cool.
Do a little pre-work hunt, but the highlight of the day had yet to happen. We'd shot some ducks and it had been a good morning, but the highlight was yet to happen. So Jake also, he has a puppy that's about 2 or 3 weeks older than my little puppy Ellie, and we get over there and Jake throws that teal over there for his pup, and his pup just proceeds to go over there and sniff it and not do anything with it. And I try to get her excited. She gets kind of excited about it, and I throw it, and she goes over there, lays down on it, and starts to chew on it. And Jake goes, well, it looks like I got to do a little bit of bird work with her. I was like, yeah, I mean, she's still young, so, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And he's like, you can take those 2 teal, it's no big deal. And, we load back up in the truck, and we head back over to my house. So now my brain's already going. By the time I get to the house, I'm like, well, I wonder what Ellie will do with it. So I don't even think we've taken the shotguns or anything into the house yet. Like, the first thing I do is go grab the dog.
First thing I grabbed was my breakfast tacos.
Oh, that's right.
But we hadn't made it inside yet. You did. I hadn't even made it inside yet. You got the dog. brought her out.
And like I put it down there for her, and this is the first time I've introduced her to a bird, and she's immediately like biting at it, like, but not like
Gimme.
not like chewing at it, just like gimme. And I was like, all right, I think this might go pretty well. And like, so I take it and I just sling it and I call her name immediately, and she runs out there and she just hammers that bird, snatches it up, and like immediately to hand. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, the first time was to hand, and then the second time and the third time were off to like would run back at you, then do the puppy thing where they want to and then run away for a second, and then you just shift your body a little bit, then pat the ground, call her name, and then she'd bring it to hand.
Yep.
So I mean, dude, you couldn't ask for any better.
No, I was thrilled. And Leanna took a video of it and she sent it to me, and I sent it to Jake, and all the response I got was, "You suck."
Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody wants to check that one out, it's up on our Facebook, Cast Blast Grill Show Facebook page. So check that out. It's a cool video. First retrieve, live, or not live, but, freshly dead teal retrieve.
Yeah.
For Ellie.
Yeah.
And so, man, that was cool. That was cool.
Yeah. Like I said, that kind of made my morning. Then we sat down and ate tacos, and then, I guess shortly after that, you went ahead and headed home, and I proceeded to try and figure out how to take a nap with a house full of kids and puppies and everything else, which I wasn't very successful at, but.
Yeah, I didn't get one either, man. I got wrapped up into doing chores and whatever else I needed to do for Monday work.
Yep. That's what I did too. I did laundry and all that kind of wonderful fun stuff.
Yeah. So for a 2-bird weekend between, let's see, you, me, or five people total over a 2-day span, we shot 2 birds. I still had a blast.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. I'm glad it's hunting season, because I'll take a 2-bird weekend, and traveling a bunch of miles and doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
But getting to hunt.
Yeah, and just to get out in it and go enjoy it, because weekends fishing are great. I love going fishing, taking my kids fishing and going and doing all that, but there's just something about sitting in a duck blind, or something about sitting in a tree with a bow, or
oh yeah,
sitting in a box blind with a rifle, or just whatever the case may be. There's something about live ammunition that just makes it just that much more fun, because like I said, fishing's fun, but
better watch this guy.
But fishing's fishing. You can fish year round. You can't hunt year round. I mean, you can hunt year round. You can, this is Texas. We can kill pigs year round and exotics and stuff like that. But I don't know about you. I'm not too crazy about chasing pigs in July and August. It's a little hot.
Nah.
That's prime beach fishing time to me.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, shoot, man, we've been running for about an hour and 17 minutes or so. So I say let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Let's do it.
You got any final thoughts before we conclude this one up?
Yeah, man. Doing fun stuff with Danielle this weekend before to get some stuff out of the way, and do some city stuff before I go live in the woods, basically, before bow open. So getting stuff done around here, mowing the grass. We're gonna maybe go see a concert and go to a wedding. So yeah, doing stuff like that before bow opens up, and I'll be gone quite a bit. So taking care of business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My concluders is shoot, my streak of bad luck is finally over. I managed to draw 2 doe permits for the Sam Houston National Forest and the Alabama Creek Wildlife Management Area. So
yeah, we got some stuff coming up, guest wise and stuff. But Jeremy, I definitely do want to. We'll sit down and we'll start breaking down some of the stuff you've drawn and what it means, and maybe tack it on to the back end of our public land system podcast, and just like a thing on the back of that. After you've now that you've been successful, we can kind of go through and say, well, I drew this using this, and this is what I'm going to do to hunt it now, and we can kind of get into the fun part of actually being successful on a draw or a postcard or whatever it is, and then kind of address what your plan is from there. So I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a good one. Yeah, we'll have the week before bow season. I'm going to have it probably drop that Thursday or Friday. We're going to have Dustin Machado come on. He runs blood tracking dogs. And then also on Trevor's old podcast, which he's not doing, he's got a newer project that's kind of a long-term project that's coming up. But if you go check out the Hunt, Fish, Repeat podcast, the 5th episode, I think it was, you had the United Blood Trackers guy on there, correct?
Yep. I think it's 5. I think you're close in there somewhere, but feel free to listen to them all, people. They're still up there. So, but yeah, man, that was a real good podcast with him. So if anybody just wants to get familiar with that, the guy I talked to, he was out of Louisiana and Texas, and this guy we're gonna have on here, he's out of Texas and East Texas, correct?
Yeah, he's kind of my area.
Yeah, so a lot of guys travel around though. They'll go X amount of miles, but it's good to just know that they're out there. Get some phone numbers in your pocket, just in case. I used it last year. I talked about it on the podcast. So yeah, we'll see y'all next time with that one.
Definitely. Y'all get outside and enjoy it because it's upon us.